we're going to set the preferences for our Lightroom Classic. We should only have to do this one time, provided you're using the same catalog. So we're going to go into the Lightroom Classic drop-down menu here and hit Preferences. So we'll start at General. Things that matter. You want to make sure that you check Show Import Dialog Box when memory card is detected. That way, when you put your memory card in, it'll automatically pop up your import box. You want to ignore camera-generated folder names when naming folders. This will ensure that you don't have really random numbered folders that don't mean anything. You want to make sure to uncheck Treat JPEG files next to RAW files as separate photos. That way, if you are shooting JPEG and RAW of the same image, that you don't have two of the same image sitting next to each other in your catalog. That can get confusing, and often people will start editing and working with the wrong file. You want to replace embedded previews with standard previews during idle time, and you want to show a parent folder during import. I also tend to say, please, if you're in the classroom working in Lightroom, no sound. We don't need bing bongs everywhere. And this I would also put at when starting up this catalog, prompt me which catalog to use. That way you make sure you're in the correct catalog when you open up. All right, so we're going to go to presets. And in presets, something very important to make sure is checked is store presets with this catalog. So that means all this stuff that we're doing right now will get stored with your catalog. So make sure that is checked. We are not going to deal with external editing right now. This is something that you will deal with when you start working in Photoshop or Illustrator or any other program outside of Lightroom. But for right now, we're just working in Lightroom, so let's just leave this as is. In terms of file handling, you can make a choice whether you want lowercase or uppercase letters at the end of your files. You want your JPEG preview to be full size. You would like to embed fast load data and do not embed the original RAW file. You want to make sure under reading metadata that both of these boxes are checked. This will allow you to use a period or a slash if you want to separate keywords by those things. And then in file name generation, in this drop-down menu, you want to choose the option that has all of the different symbols here. What that means is that if you put an illegal symbol, basically, it will replace it with something that you tell it to replace it with. Oftentimes you may have a client that doesn't have a computer that can necessarily read the same file names as you might have, so this is a real safe way to make sure that you have readable file names for every type of computer. You're going to replace your illegal file name characters with either a dash or an underscore. I prefer underscores, so I'm going to do underscore. That means if I accidentally put one of these in there, it will put an underscore. Additionally, if I put a space in my file name, I'm going to replace that with an underscore because sometimes computers can't read file names with spaces. So that's for file handling. In terms of interface, I usually change my font size to large because I need to see better, but all of the other defaults on this page are fine. We are going to go now to performance. We're going to leave all the defaults for performance right here, but we are going to go to catalog settings. So in your catalog settings, let's start at general. We don't have anything that we have to do here. In previews, we want standard preview size to be auto, and we want preview quality to be medium or high. You're going to automatically discard previews after 30 days. The reason that we do 30 days is because it's likely that you'll be working on a project for no more than a few weeks, and so you can discard those previews. Lightroom will always rebuild those previews if you go back to those images, but it won't store them in the cache, which means that it'll operate faster without all that extra data in there. So we're going to put that at 30 days. In terms of metadata, you are going to make sure that this is checked. Automatically write changes into XMP. Once you check that, any change that you make to your images in Lightroom will create a little XMP file that sits next to that raw file. That XMP file holds all the instructions for all the changes that you've made to your image, so it knows how to apply that to your image. So that's super important. That's all we're gonna have to do with our settings. Make sure that those are all set before you get started. That way everything will be coming into your Lightroom catalog correctly.